here we are. Got a few things on the wall behind me, and I got this room semi set up shortly. I still gotta wrap my weathered planks I bought, the last they had. I found those chunks of old fence, $20 for 8 feet long of 8 foot long by 5 foot weathered old fence panels, and I ran out of wood. Thank God we stopped at the reuse it place yesterday, and I grabbed some more, so I got enough wood to finish around a sliding glass door. Then I might show everybody what I did in here. It's really coming along cool. So what we did yesterday, quick note, Sarah, with kind of a team effort, we came up with a new logo. It's on this toque right here, beanie. The new How to Hunt gear. Check it out. Check it out. The new How to Hunt patches, HTH. She got the snapback real tree. This is a good one. Mossy oak, the darker one. This beanie, and another one of the orange. And this was all supposed to be here before Christmas. Oh well, and then we had the, Canada had their mail strike, excuse me. And I think it's in the store now, and I asked her, I think she did an email out to all the people who are on her email list that asked to be. And I asked her if she would maybe do a spring turkey hunter sale for all of her goodies. There you go. I'm not sure which one I'm going to wear. I like them all. So, she's going to, I think the sale, I don't know if the sale's on there now or not. It might be. There we go. A little late, well not quite late, I mean it's still cold, there's snow outside here, but these are pretty good. This is my new favorite hunting beanie. Nailed it! Very excited for her. She's really excited and proud, but again, she was a little upset of the mail strike. Really screwed her up for getting her stuff shipped in time. I think one more person blew a gasket that their stuff hadn't been arrived yet, and they reported her. But she's got everything in the mail now. So there you go. The new How to Hunt swag. Now, moving along. Today, emails are going out. Emails are going out today. Not all of them, but there's emails going out today to invite people to come on here and speak with me. I won't do all at once. I'll just take random 4 or 5 at a time and send them out and see if we get replies if people want to jump in. We're going to get that ball rolling, all right? Get the truth rolling straight from the mouth. Now, quick note. A friend of mine who's got the Trophy Hunter charters, got the boat in Cabo San Lucas, suggested you hook up with him to go marlin fishing in Cuba. We fish side by side guiding up here. And he's starting his drive home tomorrow. I told him, I said, well, be careful, don't get cartelled at the border. He said he was just in getting his paperwork done for the dogs. They got 2 German Shepherds they take down there with them. And I'm like, and I said to Sarah, I go, what's this paperwork for the dogs thing? She goes, oh God, you got to fill out the paperwork to prove for shots and everything at the border, costs money. I'm like, really? My brain instantly went, well, I wonder who does all the paperwork for every time a bear, a deer, a coyote, a wolf, or a fox or whatever crosses the border. I wonder, who does the paperwork for them? Right? People probably argue, well, you don't want to bring a disease over the border through a dog. Really? Really? Please. Please. Now, we got a lot, man. It comes in floods. It just surges in sometimes. Oh, where are we? Hold on a minute here. All right, I got one here. Fresh off the press, sent by our close friend, Mr. Richard Hucklebridge, who was on here live with me earlier, has a lifetime of wealth of knowledge on this topic and more. I just wanted to get in touch with you today regarding your video that you posted today regarding Owlman and what he told all of us, which in my mind tells us a lot about our forest people. And it needs to be written down. so the rest of the world can read it. The following is what I wrote in the comments of that video. All right, so that video, if it was the Owlman, it must have been on the backup channel. So a lot of you realize, especially during the COVID shitstorm, and I was getting put in jail nonstop, and everybody's getting booted off social media and blocked and eliminated. And I made the backup channel because if you have a couple channels and YouTube deletes this channel because I've been a bad boy again, well, guess what? Your backup channel stays on. So the backup channel, I think, is about 2 years behind in content, which is preloaded. And that backup channel stays there and stays somewhat relevant and keeps getting the other videos loaded onto it. So I'd imagine, Richard, you probably saw that video on that channel. But either way, regardless, here we go. Hello, Steve. This gentleman that was telling all of us about what he knows about these Sabe people is totally right on. Because of what little I know about them, he is right on. So what he is saying to all of us about them has to be right on also. What really needs to be done here is to put all of what he has told us into words on paper so the rest of the world can read the truth about what this gentleman knows about them. Because I do believe we are hearing this from the horse's mouth regarding these beings. And it needs to be recorded some way or somehow. This is from a guy who only knows a small fraction of what this gentleman knows, where he had to have gotten some of what he knows from them firsthand. For me, this is the most important bit of information that we will ever get out of anyone regarding what we are really dealing with when we want to know more about them, these Sabe beings. This, quote, Owlman, end quote, knows what he's talking about, where it needs to be recorded for the record. Have you ever heard something that was totally right on? Well, this old guy just did, and he's pretty excited about what he's just learned. To where I can only hope and pray that some of you out there will pay attention to this gentleman, because we, I believe, have just heard the truth. Thank you, Steve, for putting Owlman's story on today. Yes, I am kind of excited about what we all have just learned about these Sabe beings. Take care, and hope we can talk soon. P.S. Hope you can go back and look for that lost bolt from your rifle. Or I'm expecting that your large friends will bring it back to you somehow. Yeah, I hope not, in a way, because I know where it is. Roughly. Thanks for that email, Richard. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to share it or not, but what the hell. And, yeah, it's just so you guys know, I'm 3/4 the way through my second book. Just so you know. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to be in it that needs to be put on, like Richard said, put on paper. So I'm on it. I'm on it. And what else? My bolt to my rifle. My bolt to my rifle was dropped in about 2 feet of powder snow in 10-foot tall choked regrowth pine trees and willow. And I flagged it with my flagging tape out of my backpack when I backtracked out of there. So I hope they don't grab that like they grabbed my knife before I do. And if they do grab it, I hope they put it in my truck when I park to go look for it. Because I have to drive 2 days specifically just to get the bolt for that rifle. And I have to buy a metal detector. So with that effort at mind, if I do that and it's not there and they grabbed it, or he grabbed it, or whoever grabbed my knife and returned it to me grabs it, well, I hope they return it to me while I'm there. Do you know what I mean? Because if I don't find it, I have to buy another rifle. Anyway, there we go. The Owlman, we haven't heard from him for a little bit, but he shared a lot here, right? In the past. Now, who else? We've got... All right, we've got an email with a photo, with some screenshots. Mark this as read. Noises in the woods and more, plus a picture. I hope this is the right email address. Yep, you nailed it. Hello, Steve. My name is John, and I'm writing you because of a few curious things that have recently occurred in my neck of the woods. To start, I live in northern Wisconsin. Not exactly Sabe capital of the world, but still has some interesting stories just the same. To start with, I was not far from my house on a wheeler ride with my son, and I had noticed a smell that was so bad that it would have choked a vulture. I was on County Road A, just outside of Superior when I smelled it, and it's just as people described it to be. It's kind of a mix of rotting flesh, hot garbage, and piss. I'm a hunter, and only one time in my 55 years have I come across a dead deer rotting in the woods. And as you can imagine, it was pretty bad, but it only had one smell, not a combination of different layers like this did. I did stop on the side of the road to see if there was anything that had been hit by a car. I rolled up to the side of the road to see if there was anything, but nothing was there. I took off after that, not putting much thought to it. And not long after that, I was sitting with a friend, and he said he wanted to share with me what happened to him on his hunting property in the spring just before summer. He told me he was there with his daughter, walking down by the creek that ran through his land. At some point, they were standing by the edge of the creek when a boulder that he said was the size of a football, showing me with his hands, looked like a football and a half. He's a carpenter, so I trust his hand gesture replicating the size was close to accurate. They saw it flying through the air right before it landed in the creek in front of him, getting them both wet. That would scare the shit out of anybody. I was able to go to the exact spot and observe where he was standing, and it's under a train trestle that is about 50 feet above. The ground slopes down, and it's about 75 yards from the closest wood line. My friend did mention that there was, at the time, a pile of rocks near the tracks up by the tree line. He was able to point to another rock once again for comparison. He told me the direction from which the boulder, for lack of a better word, came from. He pointed and said it arced from the wood line and scared the shit out of both of them. He grabbed his daughter and pulled her behind him as he pulled his sidearm, screaming, "Who's effing around? You almost hit us." There was no response, and also no noise of anyone running. Not to mention that the rock or boulder had to be about 70 pounds or so, give or take. The interesting part is that it's about 5 minutes from where I had encountered the smell. Now I'm starting to add things up since I'm a huge fan of the channel. I got hooked on the channel after being left for dead by a guy who hit me in a minivan of all things. No shit. I had a lot of time on my hands and went down the rabbit hole and found your channel 5 years ago. I've been following ever since. And back to the rest of the story. My friend and I were over to his tree stand to get ready for the season. Afterwards, he said, "Let's go to my dad's stand where you can hunt from." I said, "Sure." Being nice, since I don't like heights at all. I figured once we got out there, I would just use the stand for the ground. I would just use the stand or the ground under it as a base and just move on from there exploring the woods. This guy's a carpenter, and as you can imagine, it was a sky fortress he built. Still had zero desire to use it. I like to hunt. And on the way back, I spotted a structure off the side of the trail that wasn't visible on the way in. And to be fair, I'm not totally sold on the tree structure thing. But this was interesting. And I had to see why a bunch of swamp brush that was about 12 feet tall was bent over with nothing touching it to cause it to happen. The interesting part is that it was bent over with parts of the top broken off and stuffed back in it as if it was to secure its new shape. The crazy part was it had huge thorns on it that were about 2 to 3 inches long. Not sure what was going on there, but in all my years being in the woods all over the US, I've never seen anything like it. I'll attach the picture as well. It isn't much to look at as I was using a cell phone, but you can see there is nothing around it, like a fallen tree, to cause this. It can't be a prank because it's in the middle of nowhere. I'm perplexed. It does point directly at his dad's stand. As the crow flies, also at my friend's stand as well. Maybe it's just coincidence. The last part of this email is something that happened a few weeks ago from a woman in Washburn County who is a friend of my better half. This is her story she posted on Facebook. She was home alone. She texted her son and he was still up. I had to remove that part of the conversation because his name was in there. He offered to come home, but she told him to stay because she was worried something had happened to him. The dogs did piss on the floor as well, and she did mention how she was woke up, and it also interesting. Here's the picture of what I saw. It's weird for sure because, like I said, part of the broken branches had been weaved back through. 3 of them for sure. You can see where they had been broken off and stuffed back through the bottom. Thanks for all you do. The more I look, the more BS I find in the world. And this whole topic is very interesting because for whatever reason, it needs to be hidden from the people. Right? I don't understand that part. But hopefully we will have the answers for the things that happen that can't be explained. Keep up the good work, Steve. Someone's got to do it. Otherwise, we're just peasants to whomever controls the narrative. True enough. So here's a screenshot. So last night, in the middle of the night, I woke up. It was 3 a.m. My Great Dane was going absolutely nuts, barking and growling and looking out the window. So I listened. I heard someone or something talking outside my house. But it wasn't like a language. It sounded like talking, but it wasn't a person. I can't explain it. It wasn't any language that a human would speak, and I know I heard it because my dog was going batshit crazy. I was so scared, and I knew the dogs had to pee, and there was absolutely no way in hell I was opening the door and walking outside. I didn't care if they pissed on the floor at this point. I was home. And I just remembered this part. Right before I woke up, I dreamt that someone or something screamed in my face. That's what woke me up. And then the dog started freaking out. Creepy shit for sure, man. So that was the two screenshots he added into his email. Now, the photo. Zoom in on that one. Yeah, kind of random and odd, right? It's compared to some of the things we've had sent in, like absolute trees and big logs woven around, or those 4 logs that I found. And I found like 9 or 10 other logs in another spot leaning on a big fir tree in the timber that I never actually showed you guys yet either. I've walked by that area numerous times over the years just to see if they're all leaned on this thing like a teepee. But yeah, it's very odd, isn't it? It's odd. And like you said, woven in, broken off and woven in, and bent over for no apparent reason, and nothing else is bent over. And there you go. There you go. Welcome to the club, my man. And I'll keep doing what I'm doing. You make sure you keep snooping too and keeping the wheels turning, right? And speaking openly on the topic. What's this one? Very short email. Raymond Paulin. Hi, Steve. You can say my name. I've been using it for 7 years now. There is a direct connection with people who have the Rh negative factor blood and abductions, along with Sabe encounters. Go ahead and validate it. You will see. Regards, Raymond Paulin. There you go, sleuths. Sounds like a chunk of time to me. But go ahead, sleuths. Or anyone who knows of that as fact, throw it down in the comment section below. Let us have it. What do we got here? Greetings, Sarah. Okay. Somebody's inquiring where I'm going to be and when in Alabama. Want to come and meet up with me? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll be down there for a while, so when I am down there, I'll let everybody know roughly where I am. And if somebody wants to come and hang out or even get on video with me, then we can line it up, all right? So we'll do that for a certain once I'm down there. But I'm not going to jump on that, planning that right now, because I got way too much on the go before I get there. But everybody knows I will be there, so that's at least getting the ball rolling in that direction, right? And once I'm on my way, and I'm having a good time with my friends, and I'm going to be meeting up with some characters. I mean, some people who have been around the world, SEAL team leader. And so I won't be able to know about when I can fit in until I get there and see what they've got planned. But I'll keep everyone posted, all right? I can't wait to meet up with those guys, especially this one man. I have a feeling we're going to have a very interesting conversation. The Rouge is the title of this email. Steve, my name is Hank. My friends used to call me Hank the Tank. I'm older now and disabled, but still hit the road for elk and bear season. Right on. This October, I was doing some early scouting and decided to stay put and sleep in the cab of my 1-ton truck as it was snowing all week, and the drive to my room was 60 miles as the crows as the crow flies. Anyway, night 3, we had about a foot of fresh snow, and as you know, it's very quiet when it's like this. Did some tracking and settled in for a good night's sleep. When all hell broke loose around midnight, there was a noise like I've never heard before. Yes, breaking trees and thrashing noises on the driver's side of my truck. Always armed, I pulled up my .357 Smith & Wesson. In hindsight, I guess that was a bad move, as this Rouge came into full view. He had to stand about 8.5 feet tall, with a chest that was as wide as 3/4 PF my truck could. It's 3/4 of my truck could, probably. He was pissed and kept bellowing at me. My whole truck shook. And once again, here I was thinking if I shoot him, it'll just piss it off. I start my engine and also hit my roll bar lights, thinking it might scare it away. Second wrong move of the night. It crossed the gravel track in a bound. And now I'm ready to piss myself. The rifle was behind me like I was going to try to reach that. Wrong. I put both boots against the window. As he started to rock the truck, I'm telling you, I was scared as I've ever been. And that includes combat. Its huge hands covered the window. And more so, as the last choice, I slammed it in the low 4x4 and floored it about a mile out after sliding all over the snow. I shifted into high range and never looked back. I left my cameras and some gear behind, and when my buddy showed up 2 days later, I told him what I had seen and felt. We agreed not to return to that area and to hunt elsewhere. He saw the handprints on the window as well as a dent on my roof rain gutter. I plan on going back this spring and hope my cameras are still cable locked to the trees, but who knows? I know this is my second time with these creatures, and I won't go back alone or without my 10-gauge slug gun. So that's my story. I thank you for getting the truth out there. Take good care, Hank the Tank. Holy shit, Hank. A vague description of what it looked like. You get a chance if you feel like it. Maybe your memory doesn't want to go there too enthusiastically, but if you want, maybe email us back and give us a little more detail on the emotions coming out thing, what his face looked like, you know what I mean? Like if you can, like a detailed description of exactly what it looked like. The look on his face, his actions, you know what I mean? Teeth, snarl, angry, glowing eyes or not. Color of its hands, you know, anything. Would be good, would be cool. That's a real shitty thing to happen. Welcome to the club. Appreciate that email, man. This next email is titled, An Engine Thrown Too Far, Part 1. Just use my name, Susan. Okay. Hi, Steve. I've been following you for over 3 years now, and due to some of the things you brought forth, informative and timely things that have helped me, I've decided to share some of my experiences here, as well as your round table channel with items of a different nature. I'm 75, and now a 49-year resident of the state of Alaska. Man, sometimes I wonder if I should have moved to Alaska. I love Alaska. Lucky. As soon as I hear somebody's from Alaska, it gets my attention, and I also feel envious in a way. Not that I got it that bad here, but Alaska's pretty freaking cool, man. Most of my experiences were in northern Washington, where I was born, in parts of Oregon. And I'll start with one that happened in and around Startup and Gold Bar, Washington in 1970 when I was 21 and dating a man that would become my husband later on. This event happened at the top of a landing used by loggers, where they yard up the lumber. But to the best of my recollection, it hadn't been used in many years. I credit my clarity over the conversation had that day to the fact that I hung every word said because I was in the early stages of dating this guy, and I hung on every word he said, like young folks falling in love do, LOL. Anyway, the large flat area of the landing was used by people our age to get away and have a few beers, build a bonfire, etc. And there were also 3 junk cars abandoned there with doors, glass, trunk or hood. Without doors, glass, trunk or hood. They sat together totally uninteresting and burnt out. My boyfriend took me over to the one closest and asked me if I noticed anything peculiar about it, which I did not. Then he asked me to look where the engine had been at one point and asked me if I noticed anything peculiar, which I did not. He then asked me to look at the motor mounts and pointed out that where they were and asked me if I noticed anything peculiar again, which I did not. At that age, I was not used to looking for peculiarities in trashed, abandoned cars. Then again, at that age, why would I be? He then made me aware that the fact that the engine mounts were tore out, not bolts cleanly moved or anything mechanically or professionally done, just ripped and torn engine mounts. So I'm like, okay, so what? He then took me over the steep edge of the landing and pointed down to the bottom, which was like a ravine, with the side of the opposing hill going up as steeply as the hill I was standing on, looking down. I'd imagine it's about 40 to 50 feet to the bottom before the incline started on the other side. About 6 feet up on the other side was the car engine, embedded in the bank and slightly covered with a little moss, indicating it had been there for some time. But it was clear to me that nothing human could have caused that engine to just be ripped out of its mounts and rolled down the landing hill and part way up the bank of the opposing hillside. Yeah, the uphill part's a little alarming. Lost my spot. The whole car engines don't roll uphill 6 feet no matter how fast they might roll downhill. It had to be thrown with great force by a being that must be unimaginably powerful to cover that distance. Again, I'm guessing 40 to 50 feet downhill and embedded itself in the opposite hillside. That was the beginning of my Bigfoot curiosity, and I've had several experiences I'll relate later, but for brevity of time, I'll keep this short. Also standing next to me in that spot, my boyfriend pointed out a ridge of folded mountains, and indicated a far distant valley where a miner long ago went missing. The locals called it Lost Valley. Evidently, the miner had a camp back there and 1 year disappeared. His brother and another party went looking for him, and I'm not sure if they returned either. Local legends abound, and I believe there's even an article or so that was written about it back then. Anyway, I just wanted to start at the beginning of my Bigfoot interests. At 75, I'm a knower, no longer a believer. It's nothing that I pursued relentlessly, but I do have some other experiences I'll share later. They'll all be titled An Engine Thrown Too Far, with different parts. Part 1 here was just an introduction. It got weirder through the progression of years. Also, in an unrelated vein, something you brought up forth about a form of mind speak triggered a memory I've long sought to understand. And that one has to do with Crater Lake. I'll be submitting that story, but thanks for your videos and your information. I've been able to tie up some loose ends with that encounter. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for your information. I know you put many minds to rest and solve seemingly unanswerable questions for many, myself included. Carry on, good sir. Keep your powder dry. Respectfully, Sue in Alaska. Sue, absolutely appreciate you. Very generous, kind lady. And we'll be anticipating your next submissions to the Club of No Return. Thanks for coming forward. Huh. Sounds like somebody's mad at that car, don't they? Doesn't it? Torn out. A lot of people are going to say, oh, it easily rolled back up the hill. Yeah, I doubt it. It's not even easy. You can't even get a big, huge boulder. I mean, all of us who live rurally have made our little, have made our avalanches, right? we've all worked our asses off to dislodge a boulder from a pile and watch it roll down the bank into the valley or a river off a cliff. And even when you do a nice round boulder, they don't roll up the other side and then stick in the dirt halfway either, right? Especially a vehicle motor. Yeah. Strange memories from Polk County, North Carolina. Hey Steve, my name is Mark Fan. And yes, you can use my name. I sent a story a few years back about some instances in Polk County, North Carolina. I was on the phone with my brother, and he jogged my memory about a ton of stuff that I either forgot or had been suppressed. So here it goes. Back around 1975, my brother and I were trying our hand at deer hunting. We didn't know much about it since we were raised in southern Florida. I was 16, my brother was 14, and anyway, we'd found a ridge that divides Holbert Cove and Green River Cove with quite a bit of sign. The next morning, my brother got his first buck, a 4-pointer, and had seen a way better buck. We couldn't wait to get back in there the next morning. The next morning, we were back in position about 4 a.m. I was sitting in a big white pine tree and had broken enough limbs off to see out and shoot if I saw anything. My brother was down the ridge, and all of a sudden the entire ridge was lit up as bright as day with a white light that was blinding. There was no sound. I yelled, "Did you see that?" My brother yelled, "Yeah, let's get out of here." My brother saw the source of the light. At first he thought it was the moon, but then it started moving away slowly at first and then took off super fast. There was no moonlight that night. There was no moon that night. In the spring of '76, when trout fishing started, trout season started, I thought I would catch some rainbow trout for dinner up at the headwaters of Pacolet or Pacolet River, or Pocolet. There's a waterfall with a nice pool at the base, so I hiked and fished my way up there, catching a few trout on the way. And when I got to the waterfall, I made a few casts. Next thing I noticed was a chunk of rock about the size of a concrete block blasting down through the tree limbs right into that pool I was fishing. At first I was mad because I thought someone was messing around. Then I considered the size of that rock. Then I had the fear. My body movements became stiff and I had tunnel vision as I didn't want to see what through the boulder. And later in 1977, my sister was taking a shower upstairs and had a hairy face in the bathroom window. I got blamed for pranking her because I had a beard, but I was downstairs with my girlfriend. But my sister said his face was hairy and had big square teeth. She was mad as hell until she realized it had to be something else. Then she was really upset. In the winter of '79, my dad and I went to South Florida to find work. My wife and baby daughter came as well. When I was talking to Mom on the phone, she said that she had the strangest dream. In her dream, she said she was awakened by a big dog fight on the back porch. We had about 6 months then. She said this creature was mostly hairy and described it as a satyr or a goat man. And it had one of the male dogs in its mouth. What the hell? I asked her, "Have you seen the dog?" And she said, "No, I can't find him." Was it a dream or was she in shock and just went back to bed? Either way, the dog never returned. No shit. Wow. So I was talking with my dad in his final days, and he was on oxygen and not doing much. And I was talking with him about Sasquatch stuff. And out of the blue, he says, quote, "They are interdimensional and can make you forget." Dad's a man of few words, so that really struck home. No doubt. This area, Polk County, is a watershed of Broad River that has been mentioned in a few of your stories. Also, the ponds and Orchard Lake Campground feed into this same watershed. Steve, you're rock solid truth in a world where truth is rare. We watch it daily, and oh yeah, my wife also falls asleep to your voice. Keep on, my friend Mark. Okay, man. I appreciate that email, Mark. Welcome to the club. What a creepy frickin' dream. And the dog went missing after the dream. Shit. Scare E. Very odd. Here's another one. South Carolina woods, people encounters. Encounters. Hi, Steve. Can you use my name? And I am Daniel Alexander Cannon. I had several encounters, but none were by sight. I moved in 2016 to Georgetown, South Carolina to live with my teenage sweetheart after both of us went through failed marriages. We live about 12 miles south of town, and due to all the farmers being shut down, there are massive new growth pine forests now everywhere. Once I had settled in, something strange started to happen. Something would slap the crap out of the side of the house, and I was like, what the hell was that? And my girlfriend Kim said, that happens all the time. What? Another night it happened again, and I immediately jumped up and grabbed a big stick I had, and I ran outside ready to kick someone's ass. I was outside where the smack came from in like 5 seconds, and nothing was there. I jogged all around the house looking for someone to thump in the head, but nothing was there to be seen. And this happened several more times other nights, and I was ready. I had planned it all out in my head, what I would do the next time it happened. I figured they must be running into the edge of the woods and hiding behind a big tree or laying down. So when this happened again, I would run out like in 3 seconds, run along the tree line looking for my head to thump. Excuse me. Run along the tree line looking for my head to thump. The tree/forest line was only... Oh, I get it right. Looking for the guy's head to thump. The tree/forest line was only 30 feet from the double-wide mobile home. Nothing was ever found. Number 2, this mobile home we had built in the porch. We had a built-in porch on one end. I would sit out there nightly, many nights, until 3 a.m., 4 a.m., or even daybreak sometimes. I had a little fold-up 3-foot table that I had my laptop sitting while I worked. I started to notice many nights at about 3 a.m., I would start to hear some off in the forest. It sounded like someone could pick up a bundle of 2x4 lumber in their hands and smack the ground with it repeatedly. But how could that be? What am I hearing? Not possible, right? But that is what it sounded like. I would not hear this every night, but regularly I did. Maybe 100 nights I heard it? Holy shit. I wondered what I was hearing, and even looked on maps and drove around looking for a possible answer, but none I found. However, the answer would come soon enough. No shit. Number 3, one night I was sitting on the porch, on my laptop, minding my own business, and right to my left, about 2 feet from me, smack, inside, under the porch, got smacked so hard, I was mind blown. But I did not react with fear, amazing enough. I just turned my head and said, okay, you have my attention. What are you trying to tell me? I just sat there and spoke to whoever did it, calmly, and waited for some kind of response. I got nothing but silence, Steve. Another night I was sitting there, and the sliding glass door that allows you in the house of the porch just slides open all the way and then closes back 3 seconds later. This happened 3 nights total, and Kim's seen it one of the 3 nights. The doors slide on ball bearings, and they were worn out, so you had to lift the door and slide it to get in, and Kim could not hardly do it by herself. So at this point, we have all this strange activity, and I did have thoughts of wondering if it could possibly be an invisible Bigfoot or what. I was familiar with the topic because I am a researcher due to my work already, but I was not sure what to believe. Number 4. Well, there came a night, right at midnight, where I found out what not to believe, but know what was doing all these things. One night we came home from being out and walked up the front ramp to the front door, and right as I was getting ready to reach for the door, it happened. I heard what sounded like a cow start to moo. But it quickly was obvious it was no cow. The moo stretched out and must have lasted at least 10 to 15 seconds. Try to mimic that one. Lost my spot. There it is. The deep bass of this moo that turned into a freaking roar of something out of a movie, but in real life. We both just froze and stared into each other's eyes. A few seconds passed and it went off again. It was the same, and it was loud. We said, "What in the hell is that?" I then said, "That's a Bigfoot." Just then it went off again for a third time while we were standing there frozen in our tracks, but not freaked out for some reason. It sounded like it was 100 yards away and had to be a big boy to sound off like that. I'm 6'2", near 300 pounds, and I cannot even get anywhere close to repeating that sound. We stepped inside and discussed how we now knew what was doing all the smacking and beating on things in the forest, and yes, that moment made us know her, Steve. Shortly after that, we ended up moving to a different county, and we're no longer there, no doubt. However, we just moved back to within 100 yards of the same place, and my ears and eyes are peeled now, expecting any time for something to pop off. No doubt, understandably. I recently asked the closest neighbor if she had heard anything. She told me that she had seen on her security cameras cavemen at the edge of the woods on her camera. I said, Is that what you were shooting at some nights? And she said she didn't shoot at it, but in the air, when her dogs would be going nuts sometimes. She didn't know what she'd seen until I informed her. Her eyes got big, but I think she wants to be a believer due to the caveman she's seen. What? In closing, Steve, I want you to know that you personally inspired me with your channel and the way you work directly with the people. I see I have had many supernatural encounters most of my life. The orbs you speak of, I've had over 100 direct up-close encounters with ones that are the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, and have seen apparitions. I've had several near-death experiences that I should have died or at least got a scratch, but I didn't. I'm saying all that to say you inspire me to build a video platform for the people to be able to speak their supernatural truths. It's going well. Many people have spoken out about all kinds of supernatural happens. I just want to share my Woods People story with you and your viewers. Thank you, Steve, for being a real man and letting the people speak. Keeping our mouths shut is what has gotten to us where we are today. I watch your shows every day, over 2 years now. Thanks to you and Sarah. Right on, man. Appreciate the kind words. And you're coming forward. Quick note just for me. Okay, man. I could probably do that. I just don't know when. Okay? I have a full day in. As soon as I'm done here, I have a full day in here of trying to get my shit together on this desk, seeing if I can somehow hook this Canon R7 camera up to my laptop so I can use that to record with. I'm not sure if I can. That's going to take this challenge do a little bit of time. Then I have to get my emails out to the people I'm having on here and hopefully get replies today so I can get going on that. So I'm just saying, I can't put down any dates for anybody for anything right now at all, outside of what I have in my tunnel vision. But keep bugging me. If I forget to reply to you, keep bugging me and we'll see if I can pull that off for you. For us. Alright? I appreciate the invite, man. And good luck with what you're doing. Good luck with what you're doing. You can't go wrong if it's truthful and you don't make it about yourself, right? Can't go wrong. Especially today. And another thing about today, right now, you guys, this form of communicating and spreading knowledge is going to be #1 in the world. Mark my words. It's on its way. Mainstream, bought and paid for news outlets are coming down. They are crashing. We'll talk about that at the end. This is the way to spread news and information honestly now. There's no way out of it. And I knew this was the route a long time ago. You make it about the people. It's all about the people, not about individuals. That's where we get fucked up, right? Proven. Prove me I'm wrong. Now, who else? What else? I've read a whole bunch, haven't I? Maybe it's time for me to get ripping. I don't know. Let's keep going. God, I gotta get this place vacuumed. There's just dust flying around. I got the most sensitive nose. It feels like I'm sniffing up a dog hair every 5 minutes. Strange experience in the woods. No shortage of those. Hi, Steve. I live in a small rural town in the Berkshires, located in western Massachusetts, surrounded by forests and wetlands. I started watching your videos about 6 months ago because I've always been fascinated with the Bigfoot topic. I've never seen one myself, but I am a believer. The other day, my daughter came in the room when I was watching one of your videos. She told me that I should share her story, so here it goes. My daughter, Emma, age 10 at the time, planned to go on a hike with my mother in the woods behind our house, a hike that they have done many times. It was around 4 in the afternoon when they started hiking the trail, about 10 minutes in. My daughter whispered, "Grandma, look." She turns and they both watch something moving past the trees about 100 feet from them. My daughter said it was shaped like an upside-down horseshoe, black in color, and moved in a back-and-forth rocking horse motion. That was the best way she could explain the movement. She saw no head or tail. She said that when it got to the last tree before the clearing, it just disappeared, as if it went inside the tree. They continued on their hike for a few minutes, then decided to turn around and head back home because something didn't feel right. You think, LOL? That wasn't me, that was written. the you think part. My mother described this thing completely differently. She said this thing looked like a large, dark sheet of cellophane with wavy static lines, such as the static you would see on an old television from the 60s and 70s when it would sign off at midnight. She said it was floating past the trees with absolutely no sound and then disappeared. My daughter is 13 now and still talks about this experience. I also want to share an experience my husband and I had in our backyard while doing some fall cleanup last year. I've been trying to think of a way to explain this because it's absolutely bizarre. My husband was in the garage while I was putting the cover back on the grill when I heard something in the woods that sounded like a whimpering dog. I was able to get my husband's attention and motioned him to come over to me and whispered to him to be quiet and listen. It lasted about 2 minutes before it went silent. Then from the same direction we heard a strange, loud, fast clicking sound. We both said, "What the F is that?" We heard this for about a minute before it stopped. The sound is very similar to the clicking sound the creature made in the predator movie. I got a little freaked out when I think about this experience because I wonder if something is trying to lure us into the woods by mimicking a wounded animal. I was very close on going to check out the sound because I have several foxes that visit me and I thought maybe it was one of them in distress. Thank you for taking the time to read this email. My daughter will be thrilled to hear you tell her story. It's okay to use my name, Kimberly Swenson Wood. P.S. Your rants absolutely crack me up. They crack me up too. Emma? What's going on, Emma? Big hello to you, Emma. Be safe out there in the woods, alright? Make sure you listen to your surroundings and go with your gut. If something's telling your tummy you gotta get home, you get home. Right? You always listen to your tummy, Emma. Now, I think this should suffice for today. How many? I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 emails today. Right? 9 more. Doesn't stop. Gotta fix this chair when I lean back. It goes like, whoa, way back. Oh. Gotta adjust that. Now, what should I ramble about now? That's it for the emails. If my voice pisses you off or my stance on what's going on in the world, triggers you to blow a gasket, you should probably leave. It's kind of weird, isn't it? How I do not know how. Is it the education system? What has happened to mainstream society where it's okay to become unglued, unhinged, when you realize somebody just not be thinking the same way you do? So you lose your shit. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that is a sign of being possibly one of the most weakest links in society, in a family, anywhere, is when you are that weak between the ears that you lose your shit when somebody may disagree with you on anything. That's worse than a 3-year-old, 2-year-old child having a snap sandwich, right? So on that note, if you do have that in you, you probably don't want to listen to me talk any further past this point. Okay? I shouldn't say I have any respect for it. I just got no time for even engaging in somebody or with somebody who pulls a snap frickin' sandwich like a sniveling little immature baby when it comes to discussing big boy and big girl topics. Alright? Politically, world news, what's going on in our communities, which affects every single one of you. You can't shut shit out. People that shut stuff off, you're so stupid. God. You gotta stand up, think rationally, look at all angles, bring in all the information, listen to everyone, go with your tummy and figure shit out. Celebrate the truth, spread it, and make great decisions for you and your family and your friends, employees, whatever. Make sure you rock this lifetime out. You know what I mean? And for me personally, when getting back to the snap sandwich part, and I'll be done with this little discussion quick. I've got, I think, almost all of my closest friends are politically on the opposite end of the stick I'm on. They're still my best friends. They say some shit that makes me go, huh? You know when you talk to your dog and your dog goes like this? That's what they make me do with some of the shit they say. I'm like, huh? How the hell is that coming? What? Does it make me angry? Nope. I don't give a shit. I still love the shit out of them. They're still my friends. See them all the time. Huge respect. Take them fishing, hunting, have beers with them. Right? I just chalk it up as possibly they're not fully informed. I know they don't listen. They do not listen to everything that is available. I know that as a fact. Do I need to throw that at them? No, I don't give a shit. It's not going to make a difference. That's all I'm saying. It's an example of some of my closest friends on this planet are on the absolute opposite of me when it comes to various topics, geopolitically, environmentally, whatever, in society today. Okay? Now, moving along. Moving along. Some insane shit going on in the world. Very insane, alarming shit. What's going on in the world today. Okay, let me. I should have written this down, but there's some things I want to share what my feelings are. The current president of the United States, Donald Trump. He's the master troller, just so you know. He's the master troller. I am a master troller. Off of here, when it comes to chucking shit and starting shit and stirring shit and being the clown, I am the master. So I can relate in a way. But and I do have mutual friends of some of the Trumps. Trump Jr., to be more specific. But I have a direct link to a lot of people who are friends with that family and others. And, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just saying there's a big factor for being a troll and a comedian. But, and it's no secret about it. It's no secret. When somebody is a full-on, the master of the deal, right? You got to think about that, where a lot of this information is coming from and statements are coming from. It's coming from the guy who's the master of the deal, the absolute master of the troll. And he's referring to Canada as being the 51st state of the U.S., right? And referred to the current criminal dictator here in Canada, capital K, Canadistan, as the governor of the 51st state. When I first heard that, what did I do? My reaction? I was literally probably rolling on the ground, laughing my ass off. Obviously, the man's trolling the shit out of him. And obviously, now think about this from the bigger picture. If you've been following what's going on in the world today, think about this one. This man, I mean, I was on the, who knows? You keep watching. I can't make any full-on decisions. My gut was telling me they're probably on the right track. Who knows? I don't know. We'll wait and see. And I always said a long time ago, I said, you show me one politician, one country in the world who starts talking peace. And then maybe we might have somebody who's honestly going to make a good difference. But only until then. And I didn't name any names. I didn't have a clue who would do it first. Think about that one. No matter how much you might hate somebody, the first person globally, geopolitically, that speaks about peace, that's probably going to be our man or woman. And you look at all the past history, last 3 years, no one spoke peace, everyone spoke war. If you spoke peace online, you got deleted. if you're a world leader and spoke peace, you got ganged up on and attempted to be ousted. Proven fact. That should set off the alarms of any half-functioning brain. Right? So anyway, the collective West leaders are they're all in the same gang. They're very, very corrupt, very bad. Ground zero, I figured on my own, is probably United Kingdom government. And right now, today, I believe I am absolutely hitting the nail on the head. The UK government being more than likely in first place for being absolute global evil tyrants. France, number 2. When I say the UK is number 1, that covers the whole of the, what's it called again? The Commonwealth countries. They all fall underneath them, including us. Easily proven. The examples are in the dozens and hundreds. Currently today in the UK, there's receipts. Currently in the UK today, the police are avidly going door to door and arresting people for insulting people online. Fact. Look it up. That fact alone. And you think that I'm talking politics right now? This has fuck all to do with politics. Right now, one of the Western collective countries, not just Britain, Germany's doing the same shit. I believe Australia's doing the same shit. And right now in Canada, there's a bill on the table where they're trying to make it legal to arrest someone in case they think they might be thinking of making a crime. Think about that one. This is way before the Trump administration takeover, winning of the election in the US. Way before. This has all been going down. All this shit's been going down to all these countries. They were following German police officers, following them door to door, arresting people in their homes, confiscating their phones, their laptops, and all the shit, for making posts online that they didn't want them to post, and as well, copying and forwarding other people's posts. They were arresting them and putting them in prison. What? Right? They're all connected. They're all linked up. Okay? You look at what's happened to the world globally with this mass migration. It's not a good thing. Immigration's fine. Legal immigration's fine. Mass migration. Absolute clash of cultures and violence. Countries spending, what was it, United States? They have the receipts. The Biden administration, was it $59 million given to one hotel to house illegal migrated human beings, and they were charging double the room rate at full occupancy. Plus, just one of the things. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I'm saying is, when Donald Trump was trolling Canada, saying the 51st state, and then all of a sudden the politicians here started jumping on the emotional trigger reaction. Absolute weak idiots. Saying this is an actual truth, trying to convince the people this is an honest threat, and they're trying to sway the Canadian people to go against the United States. Brutal, right? I actually drove down the road the other day. Didn't drive down the road. Down the road the other day. It was on the news, and keep in mind, our news is paid and bought for by our corrupt government. Keep that in mind. They tried to attempt to show a protest in the southern Vancouver Island, down in Victoria, which is south of me right now, which is, as far as I'm concerned, Victoria is possibly ground zero for the Canadian Karens. Without a doubt. I grew up there. I get to say that with confidence. I think there's about 12 and a half people protesting in front of a Tesla place. Protesting Elon Musk in Canada. It was so cringe. It was so cringe and embarrassing to watch that. And they actually interviewed one of the people. And to describe the character of this person, he's probably one of the people that wore 3 masks inside his vehicle with the windows rolled up by himself. And probably the same person that would report his neighbor for mowing his lawn without a mask on back in the day. But anyway, it's so embarrassing. When the reality is, well, Trump just hired Musk and all of his very intelligent people to do audits. They're just doing the math, pulling up the receipts and doing the math. Big deal. Big deal. Bring it. Every single country in the world. If we could have somebody in Canada to do an honest audit, oh my God. That would be absolutely incredible. Right? And as soon as that audit started going down, for me, watching closely what's going on around the globe, whoever starts squirming first is guilty as fuck. What happened here in Canada, as soon as they started auditing all of the theft and embezzlement that's going on, I think it's up to $1 trillion, isn't it? But it's in the billions. The Canadian politicians started going publicly speaking against Musk and Trump. Right? Why would they do that? Think about it. Why would a Canadian politician, any politician in any other country, start freaking out about Elon Musk's very intelligent young whippersnapper team doing audits? He's not in control of any laws. He's not in control of any governments or anything at all. He's just doing some audits, looking at the receipts and showing them publicly. That's it. That's all he's doing. So if your brain's functioning on its own, you have common sense between your ears and you see what's going on and you know what's been going on without being persuaded to go a different way in your brain, the second any politician in any other country but the US starts freaking out and trying to get their country's people to go against Elon Musk right now, that is nothing but a display of absolute guilt. Right? Up here in Canada, they no, they don't want Canada to become the United States. They're trolling. Listen to this one. Here's another example, all right? I know I'm all over the map, but I don't write things down. I probably should. I'm not practicing. But I'm just giving you guys little indicators, and I'm giving you different options to look at things from a different angle. That's all I'm doing. Picture this. I don't give a shit what country it is. It doesn't matter the country. Let's just say, I don't know. Pick a random country. Let's pick New Zealand. All right? Even though the New Zealand government's corrupt as fuck too. But let's just say New Zealand. All right, New Zealand gets a new leader. Voted in. And what typically happens in any country when they get a new leader voted in, well, they embrace all of the other world leaders and look forward to doing business and having good dialogue and conversation with them. Right? Right? Trump gets put in the office. And whether you like it or not, they've got the receipts of the embezzlement. They've got the receipts of how much billions of dollars been stolen and funneled out of that country. I feel so bad for my American brothers and sisters just for that fact alone. He comes out of the gate with absolutely zero respect for their neighbor country, Canada's current administration. I mean, nothing. He comes out of the gate, invites that little Ewok from Canada down to Mar-a-Lago, where anybody invited down there is invited to stay in the over 120 rooms. Doesn't let him stay overnight. And the very next day after he left, he starts calling him the governor of the 51st state of the U.S. I'm like, so for me, I'm thinking, okay, hopefully what's really going down is the collective West is about to crumble. Please, God, let it be true. I don't give a shit what your stance is on Trump, but this needs to happen. This needs to happen. And please, if it is happening, the indicators are showing it probably is happening. And then, sure enough, I saw another United States congressman, I believe, made a tweet that said, look, Canada, we're not coming after your country. We're coming after your corrupt liberal government. We're trying to topple them too. And I'm like, yeah, let's hope so. It only makes sense too, right? It only makes sense for a newly elected president. Why would they not embrace their neighbors' leaders, right? Why would they not embrace their neighbors' leaders unless there's some absolute corruption and dark shit going down with those leaders, right? Hope I'm making sense. I'm starting to babble here. Back to my main point. So the Canada becoming United States property is just, it's nothing. It's a troll. And it's a very effective troll, especially on the weak minds. Right? I think it's absolutely hilarious. Do I want United States to come and take Canada? Of course not. Think about it, especially for me. Be like, would I like to go to this? For me, I grew up, my passion is the real world, which is the natural world, and being free, freedom. Let's face it, there's 10 times the amount of people in America, and for what I do, we have the best hunting in North America, period. And all the outdoorsmen know it. And there's an American guy who made a post the other day about how awesome it would be if we did become the 51st state and the hunting those guys would come up and do in BC. And I said to him as a post, I go, hey, look, I love my brothers and sisters south of the border, first and foremost. But let's face it, it wouldn't matter what the flag was. If another country came here and tried to diminish what I got right here, what's left of it, there's going to be blood. As there should be with any country. If I came into your country, say United States, looking to plant my flag in your best hunting spot and bring all my buddies and come over, maybe buy it and hunt the piss out of it, get out of my way, I'd expect to get shot pretty quick. Agreed? Right? I mean, that is something for me I would be worth dying for, but it's not going to happen. But that's the only reason I would not want it to happen. It's not going to happen anyway, but that would have been one of my concerns, because after all my travels in the United States and seeing how much land has been bought by guys with too much money and just sewn it all up. I mean, I've got friends who have thousands of acres. Thousands. And they don't let anybody on there to hunt. And I think, example, I use the thought of a poor guy who works at, I don't know, at IHOP, loves hunting and fishing, but he can't afford to take his kid hunting. If he does, he's got to go out of state or somewhere. Can't even go hunting in that forest over there where he grew up on the other side of the road because some rich dude bought it. Whew, I just picture that shit going on here in BC. No thanks. So anyways, that's my little tidbit on Canada becoming the 51st state. But it's not going to happen. It's just a troll. It's working. It's an example of absolute disrespect for Canada's current corrupt leaders. That's what's going on. I would bet my life on it. Moving along. What else is going down that's very important? As you all probably know who follow it, Trump went and met with Putin talking about peace. Isn't that amazing? It's very alarming also because they did that. They sent Kellogg, another American government official, over there to talk to the Europeans and keep them distracted while they went and had their secret meeting without the Ukraine involved in Saudi Arabia. Bravo. Why did they do it? Just like they flat out said, they've had 3 years to talk about peace and not one person's done it. And furthermore, Zelensky has jailed his political opponents, jailed an American journalist and killed him in prison, stopped all Ukrainian elections. He's a puppet and a dictator. He's publicly admitted that 3/4 of the hundreds of billions of dollars of U.S. money alone, well, I don't know where it is. Doesn't matter how much you can't stand Trump. Just that fact alone, the receipts are right there, should have you freaking the fuck out. Any human being, especially being American or a Canadian whose money was embezzled over to that country. Right? I know I'm babbling, but I haven't babbled for a while. There's a lot of shit going down, but the only scary thing right now is all the European leaders are losing their shit. They want this war to keep going, and they're trying to organize to keep it going. One of the worst leaders, promoters of war, is the current leader of Norway. Embarrassing, cringe, make me sick. The German leaders, the British leaders, the French leaders. Now they're all having a secret meeting. And they need this violence to keep going. You guys realize what's going to happen if those fucking pieces of shit manage to convince each other that they have to put their armies together and go towards Russia right now? Do you realize what that's going to do? Oh my God. Right? We all know the price of gold rises rapidly as global tensions, global dog shit flies. Go check out the price of gold right now. It's hand in hand. It's ripping. Ripping. Good for if you own gold. I own gold. I've got myself covered in all angles for whatever comes. I've pre-covered my ass for probably the last 10 years. I'm good. Whatever happens, I'm good. Doesn't matter which way it goes, I got it covered. So I keep tabs on everything. Stocks, crypto, gold, I keep my tabs on it. And gold is ripping. It's good if you own gold, but it's absolutely alarming. Period. Because the only reason gold rips is because there's fucking shit coming down the pipe. And shit's coming down the pipe. And hope that shit doesn't get thicker. Especially right now. It's not good right now. It's not good. It's not good. Anyway, probably lost my train of thought, but that's been a little bit of a ranty rant, right? If I make you mad, well, check yourself. Join the discussion. Don't react. Think. Keep your shit together. ABCs. Always be calm. You know what I mean? Always be calm. If everything I said, it automatically makes you go, Trump's a son of a bitch! Well, that's almost like having Tourette's, isn't it? It's like here in Canada, here's an example of the corruption. Like I will guarantee you, I'd bet my life right now, if somehow the people could audit Canada right now, it would be the exact same boat as the US right now for corruption and embezzlement. Just the shit they've done to us in our face. We had that travel app when the COVID farce was dumped on the people. I know COVID wasn't a farce, but what they did to us was a farce and lies and manipulation, and it crushed many people. But they made an app, and I have created an app. It cost me over $500,000 of my own money to come up with that app idea. And at the time when I was getting quotes for apps, I didn't know nothing about it. I thought they were video games, and I come up with an app idea 8 years ago, whatever it was. And a cheap app then cost around $60,000, $70,000, all the way up to around $1 million. You could really get into a heavy duty app like for YouTube or something, right? And our government threw down $50 million into this app that apparently makes you travel back and forth across the border easier, just reporting your shit and whether or not you're vaccinated, right? $50 million, and they traced the money back to 3 geeks in the basement of a townhouse in Ottawa or Ontario, something, right? So then they got the RCMP started to investigate that alone, and the current Canadian, capital K Canadian government stopped the investigation. There you go, in your face. You don't need much more than that. That's just one example. And if you can do that, well, you can do anything. They've been doing anything. So what I'm saying is, currently the United States is getting audited. And the receipts are there. It doesn't matter how much you hate Elon Musk or Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. The fact is, the receipts are there. All the American people are getting royally screwed in the ass so hard. It's not even funny. The receipts are there. And so has Canada. I'll guarantee you, so is Britain, Germany, France, Australia, New Zealand. Screwed. It hasn't been about the people for how long? We've been showing blatant examples of extreme shit being held from the people just on this channel with other topics. Easily proven. Very, very easily proven that we've been lied to from day one. Right? That's why I keep doing this. That's why I keep doing this, to make sure that our absolute truth is shared nonstop every single day, and to as well prove that we are being lied to about everything. And now it's finally, I feel, coming out in the open, right? Well, we've already proven it to ourselves that we've been lied to since day one. Every single day here, we prove that we're being lied to. Every single day for, what, 5 years now? Right? So for a lot of people that are knee-jerk blowing a gasket about Elon Musk and Trump, well, it's just shit coming to a head. You already knew we've been getting lied to the whole time, and now you got receipts of just how bad it is. Why would that make you angry at those guys when you got the receipts in front of your face? You know what I mean? It's so weird to watch people getting angry at that. Be like, no matter how much you hate somebody, some people are good at their job. No matter how much you might dislike them personally, they're still better at something you're good at than you are. You know what I mean? If I had some guy down the road, I can't stand his ass. Maybe he's in a position where he can audit our Canadian government, and all of a sudden next week he comes out with receipts, that our current government ripped me off for frickin' $50 million to build an app. This guy I can't stand down the road exposed it. Oh, well, let's put that shit aside and have a look at this receipt. Right? Anyway, there you go. There's a lot going on in the world, right? In case you hadn't known, haven't been watching, I watch it nonstop. I wake up in the middle of the night, can't sleep. I find somebody's got knowledge I need, and I listen to it. Right? While I'm editing this video, I'm going to turn on that other screen. I'm going to be listening and watching. Right now, the most important thing everybody might want to watch is the reactions of global leaders today, what they're trying to get you to focus on, right? Keep a careful eye on that. And keep an eye on Britain, Germany, and France. Canada's kind of irrelevant. But Britain, Germany, and France, Poland, there's a real strong, big chance because those world leaders are absolute brain dead monsters. And I have a shitty ass feeling they just might do something really, really, really extreme and stupid to ignite a war that probably most of us won't survive. Right? Real shitty. But anyway, there you go. I probably rambled. I hope I made sense. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. And if I made you angry, check yourself. Take from what you will to leave it, but go look into it yourself and be honest with yourself and listen and look and find the receipts. Be honest with what you come up with in front of your eyeballs, right? This next few weeks, month is going to be absolutely crazy ass shit to watch. It's crazy ass shit to watch by the hour currently. All right, there you go. Moving along. Back to the good stuff. The new How to Hunt swag. The new stamp. Look at that, eh? She still has the other stuff in her store. This is going to be 100% my new hunting beanie, without a doubt. And I'm just not sure which one. I'm not, when I move my friends in the States, y'all mossy oak, a real tree, right? I'm actually more of a partial to mossy oak myself, but I wear them both, obviously. I'm not sure. One of these two, or this is going to be my new good luck turkey hat this spring. Not sure which one yet. And I think Sarah agreed. She's going to do some kind of a spring turkey sale in her store on all the new stuff and probably some of the other shit she has left in there too. So there you go. I'll put the link to her store in the comment section below. The description if you want to support her in a store, it's right there. If not, that's fine too. Anyway. Ramble bamble, huh? What am I doing now? Okay, now what am I doing? I'm going to see if somehow I can use this camera to stream with my guests, and I have to figure out how to hook it up to the laptop because I don't really like the camera that comes with a laptop as much as this camera and audio, but whatever. I got to figure my electronics, and I got to get the emails out to the people I want to talk to on here for you to hear. So, share my story at howtohunt.com. Keep your truth rolling, all right? No matter what. Speak the truth. You got something that needs to be brought to attention of the people, send it here. I'll share it. If you find yourself blowing a snap sandwich and insulting me or anybody else because they might think differently than you, it's probably not the place for you. Okay? It's probably not the place for you. I'll be back tomorrow.